This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
Top story, the 32nd Israeli government, headed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, was officially sworn in today in a formal ceremony at the Jerusalem residence of President Shimon Peres. Later in the day, Netanyahu took the traditional step of paying a visit to the Western Wall, Judaism's holiest site. Accompanied by his wife and two teenage sons, Netanyahu placed a handwritten prayer in the crevice in the wall. "We will protect it," he told the rabbi in charge of the wall. IBA's Eli Wogelenter has the story of this historic day.
Incoming Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu officially took office this morning in a ceremony at the President's house in Jerusalem. As Netanyahu took over the helm of government for a second time, he said that his government was faced with many pressing challenges. "We will have to roll up our sleeves and start working straight away as soon as we step out of this office," Netanyahu said. The incoming premier praised his predecessor, Ehud Olmert, saying that the outgoing prime minister was one of Israel's most talented prime ministers. He wished Olmert success in his future ventures and said that he would seek his advice on the tasks facing us, and there are many. Netanyahu also thanked his wife and children. "On this eve of Pesach, we will remember this," Netanyahu said. "We have no other country. We will watch over it, and with God's help, it will watch over us as well." For his part, Olmert lamented that he had not succeeded in reaching a peace agreement during his term and that he regretted errors he had made. "I have made mistakes, and I am sorry for them," Olmert said. "In addition to tough decisions and achievements, I have also made errors, and I am not afraid to admit it." Olmert wished Netanyahu success, saying his success is the success of all Israel, and that he hoped Netanyahu would use wisdom and consideration in all his decisions. President Shimon Peres thanked Olmert as well and congratulated Netanyahu on his Knesset confirmation vote last night. "I appreciate the serious efforts you've invested in order to create a broad government," said Peres. "I know the craft of building a government is no mean feat, but a government that has won a parliamentary majority is a legitimate government, and I congratulate you and the ministers of the government." On hand for the ceremony were all 30 ministers who were sworn into their posts in a 6-hour ceremony at the Knesset last night. Netanyahu took the oath of office just before midnight after the Knesset voted 69-45 to approve the new government.
Benjamin Netanyahu has been officially sworn in as Israel's prime minister after being absent for power for 10 years.
Netanyahu acknowledged the extreme challenges that his government will face, considering that it is the largest government in Israeli history, which consists of 30 ministers. President Shimon Peres has requested that Netanyahu move forward with the peace process on all fronts.
Our reporter Shireen Abu Akleh will share details about the Prime Minister taking his position and the reactions it has provoked.
After 10 years, Benjamin Netanyahu returns to the position of Prime Minister, a position he held until 1999. Netanyahu has returned, and now he is leading the largest government in Israel's history. The government consists of 30 ministers and 8 deputy ministers. Many Israelis see this as unique, and others see it as a catastrophe because they believe that Netanyahu did not win the position until he delegated ministerial positions to members of his coalition. When Netanyahu officially took his position, he acknowledged the extreme challenges that his government will face, especially in terms of security and economy.
The Israeli people refuse to accept the strict laws that history has imposed on them. With great power, we were able to acquire a state. Without it, we have nothing else. We must take care of this state, and with God's will, it will guard us.
The Israeli president has asked Netanyahu to move forward with the peace process. The majority of Israelis do not accept Netanyahu's government, whom he has yet to convince about his intentions towards peace, especially with the Palestinians.
At the end of the day, we are going to collide head-on with the U.S. administration because they originally adopted the two-state solution, and they believe it is the best solution. So, what will happen now?
The situation does not seem more optimistic on the Palestinian end either. The Palestinian Authority is going to be forced to work with a prime minister that does not believe in the vision of a two-state solution. He is also a prime minister in a coalition that wants to increase settlements and refuses to divide Jerusalem.
We believe that this is an opportunity to recalculate the negotiation process with Israel, especially after a year and a half of negotiations that did not yield any results.
As for Hamas, this change did not mean anything to them, and they do not differentiate between one Israeli government and another.
We do not see any differences between different Zionist governments. However, maybe Netanyahu's racist and extremist government is the most honest about their agenda in terms of denying Palestinians their rights and turning their backs on all past treaties that were agreed upon.
The political future with the Palestinians under Netanyahu's term is unclear. Netanyahu speaks about peace in a very ambiguous way. He assigned the most extreme right-wing leaders in Israel for the mission of achieving peace. Shireen Abu Aqla, Al Jazeera from West Jerusalem.
ومن أخبارنا الثقافية والمنوعة هذه المرة من لبنان حيث تقدم المصارف الإسلامية
Lebanese banks give whomever opens a bank account a Quran and a Bible. This comes as economists have said that the Lebanese economy has improved despite the global financial crisis, which has had exceptionally negative impacts on banks.
Banks
that apply Islamic laws to their practices, which are known as Islamic banks, have notably grown in Lebanon to the point where they have had an impact on the economy of the country.
We don't deal in arms, we don't deal with...
We do not deal with arms, alcohol, gambling, prostitution, or anything against ethics.
Islamic banks apply Islamic laws, which ban charging interest on loans or the purchase of securities. To those who believe that Islamic principles can't be applied to banking, realize that Islamic banks were not affected by the real estate meltdown.
If people look closely at Islamic banking, they will realize that it is the only solution for the current financial problem.
The fifth economic conference for the Islamic world in Jakarta proposed making Islamic banking an alternative to the current unstable banking system. Critics, however, say that investors in Islamic banks do not necessarily know how their money is being used, and therefore they are not able to make important financial decisions about their money. This, however, did not stop the spread of Islamic banking to outside of the Middle East, to places such as Europe.
Some Muslim countries have significant liquid funds, such as the Gulf countries. Meanwhile, countries in the West are in need of funds. The objective is to encourage the West and the Muslim world to work together.
Islamic banks do not only serve Muslims. They are open to anyone who wants to make sure that their money is used in an ethical way. An Islamic bank in Lebanon gives whoever opens a new account a Quran and a Bible as a gift. It is time to try the idea of Islamic banking, especially when considering that the Vatican has recently urged banks to learn from the Islamic banking experience.
العاهل السعودي الملك عبد الله بن عبد العزيز وصل إلى لندن للمشاركة في قمة دول العشرين.
The Saudi king Abdullah bin Abdulaziz has arrived in London to participate in the G20 summit, which will focus on the global economic crisis. An Al Arabiya reporter in London said that the Saudi king will meet today with the American President Barack Obama during the summit.
العاهل السعودي الملك عبد الله بن عبد العزيز.
The Saudi King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz and the American President Barack Obama will talk about possible initiatives to kickstart the world economy. The two leaders will also talk about political issues that are of concern to the two countries. Participating countries believe that Saudi Arabia can potentially play a major role due to its economic and Islamic influence.
البيت الأبيض استبق وصول أوباما إلى لندن.
Before the arrival of Obama to London, the White House denied the existence of any division between the U.S. and Europe about how to kickstart the world economy. The White House said that the G20 summit will lead to an agreement on this issue. The British Prime Minister asked leaders of the G20 summit to work towards providing 20 million jobs and restructuring the international banking system.
And leaders meeting in London must supply.
Leaders meeting in London must reignite confidence in the world economy and give people everywhere hope for the future.
تباينت آراء قادة الدول المشاركة في القمة بريطانيا وألمانيا.
Participants had different views. While Britain and Germany were optimistic about the summit's results, the French President Nicolas Sarkozy threatened that his country would withdraw from the summit if his demands to take more strict financial measures were not met. He said that he will not sign any agreement if he feels it is not practical.
إذ لم يشعر بأنه قابل للتحقيق. وترمي قمة لندن إلى التوصل.
The London G20 summit aims at reaching international consensus by taking coordinated steps to revive the world economy, provide jobs, and reform the financial system, including the following international financial institutions: the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the Financial Stability Forum.
المؤسسات المالية الدولية وخاصة صندوق النقد الدولي والبنك الدولي.
London witnessed strict security measures. The police were put on high alert to keep the situation under control after 4 demonstrations were launched in protest of the economic crisis. Hadiya al-Rubai, Al Arabiya.
In Doha, leaders and representatives of 22 Arab states and the leaders from 12 South American countries stressed the importance of strengthening economic and trade cooperation between the two groups in order to establish strategic relations. Our new correspondent in Doha, Faisal Sisaber, reports.
More economic and political cooperation. This is what Doha's declaration has concluded after wrapping up the second Arab-Latin American summit. At the political level, positions of the Latin American leaders have not changed as they reiterated their support for the Central Arab plight and condemned the latest Israeli aggression in Gaza. In addition, the Latin American leaders called for holding a Mideast peace conference.
There will not be a solution in the Middle East without engaging all affected parties in the peace process.
The two groups made important economic decisions, vowing to improve trade agreements and cooperation. The leaders said they must employ a productive mechanism that will help them contain the global financial crisis, which has begun to threaten their economies. They also called for establishing an open market strategy in order to improve trade cooperation between the groups.
Obviously, it's not easy to develop trade relations quickly. It's a long-term process. We expect more investments from the Gulf and Latin American countries.
The final statement of the Arab-Latin Summit stressed the importance of alleviating travel and trade restrictions, as well as opening airspace throughout the countries. This will help strengthen communication between investors and also boost economic and trade cooperation between the groups.
The United Arab Emirates proposed opening the airspace of Arab countries. This will help encourage the flow of trade into the Arab world. This is important when considering the geographic distance between Arab countries. Therefore, it's very important from an economic perspective to ease up travel restrictions in the Arab world.
Trading among these countries has jumped to more than $21 billion in the past 5 years. The figure is expected to continue rising as the leaders have proposed to establish an Arab South American banking system and an investment fund in order to double the size of the investments. This is an Arab South American gathering in which leaders from both groups are hoping that their voices will be heard in the international arena. Also, they are hoping to influence international decisions, which are usually made by the strong at the expense of the weak. Faisal Sisaber, Dubai TV, Doha.
الأزمة الاقتصادية العالمية تعصف بعشرات الشركات في الكويت.
The global financial crisis has rocked dozens of companies in Kuwait. The Kuwait Stock Exchange halted trading in 36 companies from a total of 200 firms listed on its market for failing to present their 2008 annual financial reports on time.
في موعدها المحدد نهاية الشهر الفائت.
To follow up on the topic, we're joined from Kuwait by our correspondent Ahmed Al-Inazi. Ahmed, the Kuwait Stock Exchange has halted trading in 36 companies for failing to present their 2008 annual financial reports on time. How will this decision influence the performance of the Kuwait Stock Exchange?
Suad, the decision may have a positive or negative effect on the market. Today, the KSE index rose nearly 76 points, despite expectations that the shares of many companies may witness a decline due to this latest decision. However, the KSE rallied with its index rising 76 points due to this decision. Perhaps this increase is due in part to the mechanisms of transparency which were made available to the market, which caused investors and traders to regain confidence. This rise in the KSE index comes after a long downturn. In addition, the reduction in the number of trading companies in the market may lead to more opportunities for investors. Investors have an opportunity to pick from those companies that are considered safe and trustworthy in the market. The downside of the decision is that many investors warned against freezing the liquidity of these companies, which will take cash out of the market. In addition, the legislation lacks the element of accountability. Also, it doesn't include a mechanism to compensate investors and shareholders in the event that these companies file for bankruptcy.
Ahmed Al-Inazi, thank you.
أقل من 10 أشهر على الانتخابات البرلمانية بدأ التسريب.
There are news reports about alliances developing between Prime Minister Noor al-Maliki and the head of the National Accordance Front, Salah al-Mutlaq, and former Prime Minister Iyad Allawi, less than 10 months before the parliamentary elections.
السابق إياد علاوي. المزيد في هذا التقرير.
It is the year of the elections, and there seems to be endless possibilities for how different parties may ally themselves. Perhaps the first step in the right direction is to form ideal alliances as a way of maximizing the number of winners for every party. Some of these alliances include parties that share similar ideologies but are not necessarily part of the same religious sect. These alliances include the Dawah Party, led by Prime Minister Noor al-Maliki, and the National Accordance Front, led by Salih al-Muttalaq. After years of dispute between the leaders of the two parties, it seems that they have agreed to form alliances in the provinces of Diyala, Salahuddin, Baghdad, and Babel. The two leaders who do not trust each other decided to ally, which has changed the political map of the country. Saleh al-Muttaliq, who is known to have a strong sense of Arab nationalism and is absolutely opposed to the presence of American forces in Iraq, told Al-Sharq al-Awsat newspaper that his supporters will ally with al-Maliki in 4 provinces. He added that former Prime Minister Iyad Allawi will also join the alliance. This alliance will not be exclusive to provinces in western and northern Iraq. Surely, this alliance will also travel south. The Al-Sadr movement will join this alliance as well as other parties who oppose federalism in Iraq. These parties are opposed to establishing a territory that falls under a federal Shiite regime.
Who said that it's for men only? Banat Taxi confirms the opposite in this report.
Elegant, calm, and beautiful. And she can lead. This is not the description of a beauty queen or an ad in a newspaper. Simply, this is a work tool for Banat Taxi. The idea came to her while on a visit to Thailand. Nawal Yaghi liked the pink taxis that were driven by women.
As a traveler going to a country where I know nothing, it is more comfortable to be with a woman because she knows things. If I asked her about something, she would immediately answer me. If I want something, she knows how to advise me. I wanted to get a car to bring customers to the beauty center, but I was afraid that I wouldn't find women to drive. So for that reason, I thought of getting just one car. I liked the idea. When I put out an ad and a lot of women responded, I decided to run with the idea of opening a taxi company. She must be at least 30 years old. This is the first condition. She also has to be able to drive well and have a license. Now we are requesting general licenses.
Every day, the drivers wear typical women's clothing, a white blouse, a pink tie, and even a pink flower in the hair, as well as a touch of makeup to complete the feminine look for Banat Taxi.
We still have our femininity. We're not masculine. You can't say we are masculine. Just the opposite. We're cute, easygoing, and beautiful.
People are really happy. Even the women. They're like, wow.
People talk about the color the most. They see a red number, and then they see a woman, so they stare more. But they all do this.
They put their thumb up, يقولوا يلا go ahead, encouraging us لإلها.
Noel reiterated that this idea is not sexist. She explains that passengers are not just women. They also include boys and families from various areas.
My customers are people who would not normally ride a taxi. My customers are women, children with activities, and school. Also families. Female tourists that come. As I said, after my experience, I found it appropriate for a tourist to have a woman driver. We take men in our cars, but they must be with women or children.
Can they ride alone?
We do not permit men to ride alone.
Why?
Because we want to be the most professional in our work. This is a profession like any other profession. We don't want to be taken advantage of and used for other purposes. I have 3 cars that are picking up passengers. I have 3 other cars that are ready, but we are waiting to finish some things up before they go out. We paint the car, so it takes time to get the car ready.
The idea was well received by those who heard about it, especially by women. As for men, they had their own special opinions.
I say just drive according to the law. May God keep them safe and may God grant them success.
There are some ladies who drive better than men.
May God make them strong. Bravo to them.
This is not a good idea for women.
Why?
Because of the taxis. You don't know what the situation will be in this country. Men can't even get by.
Some male taxi drivers are shocked by this idea because they've gotten used to being behind the wheel. It may be said that women are not good drivers. However, Banat Taxi confirmed that the gentler sex is able to practice any profession without the need for masculinity or muscles. From Atelias, Zaina Khalil, NBN.
Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.